As we get deeper into this course, I wanted to cover a few analogies, and my favorite one is train stations. It's the way that I think about job search, especially when you're getting into the market, but also what happens once you're in the market. So, the train station's metaphor is quite simple. It's the first time that you're really looking at getting into the job market. Maybe it's upon graduation and everybody else is crowding into the central station. You don't know where the trains are going, but you just know that you want to get on a train. And you can see lots of other people are getting on trains right after graduation. So you're rushing to the platform, and all you know is you want to get on any train that's going anywhere. You don't even look where it's going. Everyone else is getting on, so why not you? And some trains take you to really nice places, and it's a great ride. The people are nice and they're helpful, and the views are outstanding. They're wonderful. And when you arrive, it's even better, right? The possibilities are endless. There's lots to do, there's new experiences, and there's plenty of new trains going to new and exotic and amazing destinations. And sometimes it's this. So it's not quite what you signed up for, and it can be very lonely, scary, bewildering, and frustrating. And when you actually arrive at that first destination, you realize you took a train to nowhere. You didn't read the signs, or maybe you did, but you definitely can't give up because obviously it's the beginning of the journey. Here's the deal though. You're going to need to take exponentially more trains just to get back to a first nice train station. It will take significantly more work, but it's been done by you, by others, you in the future. If people have done it once, maybe you have done it once, you can do it again. Ultimately, I think a lot of people might be confused in hearing this, and here's why I'm telling you. Lots of people think they want to go work for one of these big giant companies. I think back in the early 2000s, everybody wanted to be a part of a big consultancy. Then it kind of morphed into like, oh, we want to be a part of the next Google or Amazon or big Facebook kind of tech company. The reality of these types of companies is they are looking for a specific type of pedigree. This pedigree could be the school that you went to, so only Ivy League graduates or people that came from MIT, Harvard, Yale, Stanford, something of that persuasion, the best of the best. But here is the secret behind this. All of that is bullshit. None of it matters. There is very little difference between the people that came out of those schools and the people that are actually capable of doing the work. It is the exact same for the individual companies. If you did not work at Facebook or Google or X or whatever, that means that you are no longer allowed to work at some of these bigger companies, which means you have to find the opportunities where they exist. Maybe the future looks a lot different from the past. And some of the things that I think we could agree on, or at least consider, that cutting edge technology is definitely on the upswing. It is continuing to speed up. There is a high growth industry called AI that is taking over and infiltrating every single segment of work. I mean, it is bowling over every company that has ever existed for the most part. Smaller companies can have much bigger impact, and there is a higher volume of risk versus reward. And food for thought. The first time I saw this, I wasn't quite sure what I was looking at, and it has become a common trend, and it's honestly, it's mind blowing. These are the top AI companies by headcount, and you can see total number of employees is less than 50. You also see the annual revenue, and it is tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions, if not $1 billion. And the majority of these, just FYI, with the exception of Telegram, are AI tools, and that is essentially taking over. I mean, you can read the description. It's pretty wild. And just to drive the point home further, this is a list of top 30 AI unicorns with the fewest employees, and it's broken down by number of employees and the valuation. Now, valuations can be totally misleading, but the idea of these is that they are worth more than $1 billion a piece with 10 employees, with 25 employees. That is crazy. And that hasn't existed before. I am genuinely concerned that the people that are working in these large bloated companies aren't ready to see what the future is actually going to hold for them. And I mean, it continues to be record breaking with new companies coming out blasting through previous unbroken records. So this is an example of Cursor. Cursor is a tool that I continue to try to spend at least a couple of minutes every day playing around in when I can. But basically, it's a text to development tool, meaning I come up with language as to what I want it to develop, and then it does it. Crazy. They went from zero to $100 million annual recurring revenue, ARR. This is becoming the norm. And so if you can find yourself getting into one of these opportunities or something that comes in the way of a competitor to one of these opportunities, you're in the right spot. Sounds great, right? But I don't have the experience. Yeah, I don't think I can do any of this. There's a real fact, and the real truth is that less competent people have done it. And anything can be learned, even if it's boring, it is possible for you to find interest in it. I think there's this really interesting video that I pulled off of TikTok where it's basically Barack Obama explaining his experiences with meeting the best or the biggest world leaders and realizing that they're just people. And I think it's incredibly powerful. Take a moment, pause here, and watch. See what you think. Look, as I said before, anything can be learned. The opportunity of being a radical outsider is a huge win if you have a clear skill set and you want to enter into a new vertical or a new industry. There's an old adage that if you read 3 books on any one specific subject, you're essentially on the equivalent or on a par with an expert. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I genuinely believe that most people are just scratching the surface of a lot of things that they do on a daily basis. And if you get good in one particular area and spend a lot of time getting better, it's impossible to ignore you. I think it's really helpful to explore, get into things, and dig in further. I find that a lot of responses to that is, yeah, but tech is boring. And if you set aside your feelings for just a moment, I think the beauty's in the details. Any industry, as somebody that has worked in construction project management software, technically innovation solutions, tapping in vector databases with AI, internal communication software, hourly shift worker software. They were not the most interesting verticals, but once you start to peel back the layers of the onion and find the details that are either unexplored or they're competitive to the degree that you can make waves and just making minor changes in order to get big results, it becomes crazy and super interesting. And if you don't have that level of curiosity, you have to find it. I think the more that you explore, the more it expands and the more opportunities become clear. One of the things that I've often said from the beginning of my career, and I still think to this day, is it's so important to try to join a rocket ship. Either you're building one or you're joining one. And there's this old expression. The concept is if you get a chance to grab a seat on a rocket ship, you don't necessarily ask which seat, you just get on and buckle up. And ultimately, there's a lot of companies out there that are stagnating versus a ton of new companies that are going to be coming up. And I would want to work in the new companies that are these rocket ships. Watch this real quick video. I think this guy does a pretty decent job articulating that point, and I think it's always cool to have a little external validation. So, some really simple things in terms of statistics I just want to cover. So, tech skills and upward movements, percent of jobs that will exist in 2030 that haven't been invented yet, percent of tech organizations that are prioritizing upskilling and cross skilling over new hires. Percent of workers say that a lack of employee development opportunities is preventing them from reaching their full potential. Make your guesses. And the answers are 85% of jobs that will exist in 2030 have not been invented yet. So, yeah, like the only way to get there and to get these opportunities is to start working and playing with new technologies now. 48% of tech organizations are prioritizing upskilling and cross skilling over new hires, which means you need to get good at the newest technology in order to be relevant in a month, 6 months, a year, 5 years. 74% of workers say that a lack of employee development opportunities is preventing them from reaching their full potential. You have to take it upon yourself in order to get better.